Chapter 1. The Early Years. Ivan the Terrible is one of the most notorious rulers in the history of Europe, but an understanding of his predecessors goes a long way toward explaining his own character and deeds. At the same time, this has made objective viewpoints of Ivan even more difficult, and occasionally even historians have not been able to resist the temptation to fill in the gaps of Ivan's life due to the scarcity of available sources with more questionable information. Ivan IV was a direct descendant of Grand Prince of Russia, Ivan III, whose 15th-century reign saw the Moscow Principality increasingly consolidated from a territorial perspective. Ivan III's reign also represented the starting point of a tendency towards autocratic rule supported by the Russian Orthodox Church. He began to refer to himself in official documents as Tsar, the correspondent of the term Caesar, a direct signal of his intention to replace or recapture the legacy of the fallen Byzantine Empire, whose capital had been conquered by the Ottomans in 1453. This ambition of translatio imperii continued through the 15th century and 16th centuries, with Moscow aiming to become a new Rome. Ivan III was succeeded by his grandson Dmitry, who passed away in 1509, at which point the former regent Vasily III, Ivan III's son, truly assumed the reins of power. Vasily was a powerful ruler in the tradition of Ivan III, and according to historians, he was also literate to a relatively high degree. It's believed he may have been able to read and speak Greek in addition to Russian, making him a relatively cultured man by Russian standards. In 1505, Vasily married Solomnia Irvina Saburova, the daughter of a mid-level boyar family, after selecting her in a rather surprising manner, at least from a modern viewpoint. Unable to find a suitable partner among the boyar families from court, he summoned over 1,500 noble girls to Moscow in a so-called bride show or parade, so that a beautiful enough bride could be chosen. This tradition of a bride parade was begun by Ivan III for Vasily III, and continued throughout the 16th century. Vasily's marriage to Solomnia was not a successful one, however, because it lacked the most significant aspect a royal marriage needed: heirs. Solomnia's inability to bear children led to Vasily's unwavering decision to divorce her and to remove her from court. However, unlike his English counterpart, Henry VIII, Vasily managed to achieve his desire without establishing a new church. In 1522, he removed the patriarch who opposed divorce, and in 1525, he managed to obtain an official separation from Solomnia, who had been charged with witchcraft and sent to a monastery. Despite his efforts, religious opposition to the divorce remained quite strong. One historian, referring to the context of the divorce, relates that Solomnia raged against the injustice to the very end and cursed the husband who cast her out. It was said, too, that an even more terrible curse was laid on him. Mark, Patriarch of Jerusalem, heard about the coming divorce and thundered, "If you should do this evil thing, you shall have an evil son. Your nation shall become prey to terrors and tears. Rivers of blood will flow, the heads of the mighty will fall, and your cities will be devoured by flame." This statement, despite its poetic and seemingly prophetic qualities, does not appear in any of the other established biographies of Ivan IV and was not properly documented by the author either. This definitely fits the pattern of prophetic literature using hindsight to claim an early modern ruler was fated to be cruel and to inspire terror and fear among his subjects. Of course, it cannot be accepted wholesale as factual, but the idea of the curse, both on Ivan IV and on the Russian people, would feature later in artistic depictions of his life and times.